NFL Week 18 is here, folks. The final full slate of the NFL. Stay tuned for expert injury analysis, breakdown for Monday Night Football, and some early line locks. Welcome, Degens, far and wide. What we love to do here. Let's talk injuries. Biggest one, Brandon Ayuk, ACL, MCL, multi-ligament knee injury. He's out for the season. Josh Oliver, anytime touchdown, plus 850. This was 10-1 earlier.
From a Denver standpoint, give it a defense to get in the end zone.
Welcome to the official Degen Doc Red Zone Bitching Hour.
The only thing I want to bitch about is basically they were so bad that CD was just, he had a decent day. Let's get this off the screen for just a second. I'm going to hijack this. We're going to go to the professor's office hours.
Oh!
For a second here.
This NFL Week 18 injury rundown and betting preview edition of the Degen Docs on the Sports Gaming Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with promo code SGPNDOC to get a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. We're also brought to you by Rhythm, the leader in data-driven picks and props. Get your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamingpodcast.com/RITHMM. Welcome, Degens, far and wide, to another edition of the Degen Docs. What is up, folks? I am one of your hosts here, the OG Degen Doc himself. And more importantly, I am joined by my brother in degeneracy, Mr. Derek Bennett, a.k.a. Professor Locks. How are you doing tonight, brother?
Not too bad. Not too bad. Got another, I'll say, interesting game tonight. I don't know what to really think about this Monday night game.
And Dan Campbell says the boys are playing, so the boys are fucking playing. All right, but we will be getting to that and much more. Look, hey, congratulations to anybody who actually, not congratulations. Cheers to all of you. Cheers to you, my friend. Cheers to everyone who won their fantasy football championship. Cheers to anyone who didn't make it, lost, whatever. If you're hanging out with us, cheers to you. NFL Week 18 is really a week for the sickos because shit is going to get weird. All right. So, and it might start tonight with some Monday Night Football. I know it's still wrapping up NFL Week 17, but man, let me tell you one thing. One, the whole motivation angle, as we saw, it's not simple, right? No, NFL guys still play for money. These are real grown men playing for pride, playing for potentially their last game of their career. They don't give a shit about tanking, as my New York Giants definitely taught me this weekend, which we'll get into. But look, folks,
what's a couple of spots in the draft?
Yeah, what's a franchise quarterback? Who needs them, right? Geez. But we're going to talk a lot here. We're going to do, we'll talk a little college. We're going to do some playoff look ahead, injury rundown, of course, going through all the big injuries for this week. We're going to give out a couple of seeding situations there. We're going to talk about what we've already bet, what we like for Week 18. And then, of course, we will wrap up at the end with Monday Night Football breakdown and best bets. So we've got a jam-packed show, folks. So hope you're locked in. Look, we started off last episode talking about giving you the little tip of, Fade Pitt in the bowl game. They're playing their QB3. Looked to be an easy win. It was a win, but it got a little sweaty. It went with their
little sweaty towards the end there.
Turned out to be a stud. Guy had never taken a collegiate snap, but we did get the win. Toledo won in 6 overtime. So, even if we just got you to watch that game, we feel like we did our job because that game was probably one of the most entertaining games we've seen.
No doubt.
But hey, if your team's going to suck, might as well make money. Army came through one more time for me, man. They were playing Louisiana Tech. They had a great season. 33 touchdowns, or 33 or 32 for Bryson Daly, the leader in touchdowns on the season. We'll see what Ashton Genty does at 31 right now, but a great season for those Army Black Knights. And speaking of the minor leagues, let's talk about a little bit college football. Just really quickly, folks, we've got starting tomorrow with the Penn State-Boise State game at night. Then we've got 3 games on Wednesday, man. So hopefully you have off work. Hopefully you'll already, here's what you got to do. You got to take the wife, the spouse, whatever, out to a nice dinner on Tuesday night early. Make that reservation for like 4:30. Say, get that early bird special. Take her out, treat her nice, because you tell her from about 8 p.m. Tuesday to, midnight of Wednesday, fuck the ball dropping. We got college football. All right. But really quick, just give me your picks. We don't even have to talk spread. Tell me the 4 teams you think advance to the college football playoff semifinals.
Yeah, I think the big 2 that I think will really be highlighting this weekend is obviously Ohio State and Oregon. That might as well be a semifinal game. Might as well be a national championship game for all intents and purposes. I think the Buckeyes get some revenge in that one and put it on Oregon. Their defensive line has just been balling out, and I think they do get to Daniel or Gabriel this time around a little bit more frequently, put some more pressure on him and get the dub. Texas, I like what Scatterbo's doing, but that's a whole different animal in Texas. So I think the Longhorns move on as well. Penn State, Boise State, I think is the interesting one for me. I think Boise State, yes, they have had a pretty weak schedule up until this point. They did give Oregon probably the best run for the money outside of the Buckeyes up there in Eugene early on. But I do think Penn State just has a little bit too much for Boise State, especially with that week off. It just sometimes doesn't necessarily go as we planned in terms of rest. These guys haven't played in 3 weeks. So give me Penn State in that one. And then the Notre Dame-Georgia game is probably that second game that I was talking about. That one could get interesting. I think Georgia's defense is probably the best unit going to be on the field. But what are we going to get out of the redshirt freshman quarterback for Georgia, right? If Carson Beck was in there, that's an easy one for me, Georgia all the way. But can they get the running game going against that Notre Dame front? And I think they do. I think that one's going to be a close one. I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of scoring in that one. I think it's going to be pretty low scoring.
All right. Yeah. So I missed it though. You went with your Buckeyes over Oregon?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Give me the.
I figured you're being a homer. Really quick for me. I am on all the dogs this week as far as spreads. As far as straight up money lines, I like Notre Dame to advance. You talked about it. Redshirt freshman or sophomore quarterback, whatever the fuck he was. He's got one thing he can do. He can use his legs. We saw him try to pass. Did not look good. This is not the same Georgia team as last year. I don't think they're as dominant on defense. I don't think they're as dominant at the line of scrimmage. I think Notre Dame can hang with them. I think Notre Dame has a 5th-year quarterback in Riley Leonard. I think that's going to be the difference. So give me Notre Dame there. Give me Oregon to stay perfect. Ohio State played an amazing game. I don't think they can do it consistently this year with Will Howard. I think Ryan Day is going to try to do something stupid like he does. That is going to be a close game, though. That is the only one that I really don't have a strong conviction.
Hey, don't be hating on my guy Ryan Day. I mean, Dylan Lanning hasn't won too many big games either. Just saying.
That's true. But I do like Dylan Gabriel and that entire team. I just think the line of scrimmage plays a little bit better on the Oregon side of the ball. But I do think Texas and Penn State, unfortunately, get it done. I think those games are closer than the spread indicates. If anything, Boise State would be the one I would pick to win outright. But you're right. I think Kenny Dillingham, great coach. I just think the talent gap is a bit too much there. That's what we got for college football playoffs. Feel free, folks, get the chat popping. Give us your opinions. Who do you think is moving on college football playoffs as we get onto the National Football League? Really quickly, as we get onto this National Football League, we are going to talk bitching hour. But before that, I want, playoffs are right around the corner. Give me your top 3 AFC and top 3 NFC. Quick power rankings. Who's got the best shot to win the Super Bowl? Start with the NFC.
The NFC is, in my opinion, the tougher conference to choose a top 3. I think the AFC is pretty straightforward. But as far as the NFC, definitely give me the Philadelphia Eagles. I really think it might just all depend on who ends up winning that Week 18 game between Minnesota and Detroit. Whoever ends up with the 1 seed, I will probably end up taking that one. So if it's right now, give me the Vikings. I think they're just playing better right now. They're definitely the more healthy team.
Number 1?
I would probably go Minnesota. Yeah. But I honestly, I think Philly, Minnesota, and then I just don't think Detroit can go 3 straight games against top level talent without dropping a game with their defense right now. So I would probably go, give me the Rams. Give me the Rams.
Over Detroit at 3?
Yep.
You're insane. All right. Mine are pretty easy. It's Detroit number 1 for me, Minnesota 2, Philadelphia number 3.
Whoa. You're supposed to be the Sam Darnold hater. He's turning into a pumpkin.
I know. He's
you said he's turning into a pumpkin for 2 weeks straight. Come on now.
I know, and he's shown me he's not, man. So I just think they're complete teams. I think all 3 of those teams are complete teams. I think everybody else has one good unit, but they're not complete, right? So my dark horse, our kind of dark horse love, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers would be my dark horse dart throw in the NFC. And then going over to the AFC, I'll lead us off here. Kansas City has to be 1. Kansas City has to be 1. I go Buffalo 2 and I go Baltimore 3. It's going to be the 1, 2, and 3 seeds. It's super lame, but I just, I don't really give a shit if it's, the Chargers, Denver, Pittsburgh, whoever's in there, if Cincinnati or Miami sneak in, I just don't see it. I think that Kansas City, again, most complete team, and they've been there before is the key difference. Buffalo, best home environment with their weather at their edge. And then Baltimore is probably the most talented team. They just haven't put it together in the playoffs. Derrick Henry helps in the playoffs, a good run game. Their defense secondary has figured it out a bit, but still they're kind of my little bit leaky there. I would love to say the Steelers as a dart throw, but that's not realistic based on what we've seen the last 3 weeks. So 1, 2, and 3 for me. What about you?
Yeah, I would agree with the teams. Definitely a different order for me. I think Baltimore, like you said, their secondary has figured it out. Their run defense has been pretty solid all year. So I'm going to give Baltimore the top spot for me, followed by Kansas City. Like you said, they've been there before. They've done that. They're just kind of dealing with a bunch of nagging things right now, a bunch of nagging injuries. And they really, until that game against the Steelers, they really haven't shown a ton against top-rated teams. These teams, both of those teams played week 1, and if it wasn't for Isaiah Likely's black shoes against the white background, he's in, right? And Baltimore knocks him off the first week. So I would probably go Baltimore as
beat Buffalo, though.
Yes, that's true. But Baltimore, then Kansas City, and then Buffalo would be my 3 seed. I think Josh Allen, although he keeps doing it over and over and over again, that Buffalo defense gives up way too many fucking points.
Yeah, and that's something I did not see. With Milano coming back, I thought that'd be a great opportunity for them to really shore that up. But all right, let's move into a section that I'm gonna take over really quickly. Look, I'm not gonna belabor this point. But yes, folks, welcome to the Degen Doc's bitching hour. Look,
wait, before you go into your 10-minute rant here, can I just bitch about the Cowboys basically laying down against the third-string quarterback
and the second string? I mean, whatever you want.
And the second string, string. But yeah, I mean, come on.
Cooper Rush, man, they just couldn't hold the ball. I mean, I think I saw they were saying that
you scored on the second drive. You looked really good. The first drive, Cooper Rush throws a pick 6. Looked really good on the second drive. Score, touchdown. Yeah. Tie it up, and then can't do shit the rest of the game.
Well, I mean, look, I think there was a stats like 8 turnovers against Philadelphia this year Callis had. So clearly, they were not prepared for Philadelphia.
No doubt.
CJ had 2. He had that pick six, like they said. Devonta Smith, the 2 guys who really kind of cost them that game against the Commanders, they did step up in a big way. So as much as I'm a Philly hater, you do have to give credit where credit is due. Now, I've had a lot of time to process this, folks. I'm a Giants fan. My life has been rough this season. Thankfully, I got all you guys and sports gambling to make the NFL season better because my team fucking sucks. Or at least I thought they did. But apparently Drew Lock is the fucking next big thing.
Second coming of Joe Montana.
I mean, what the hell? I literally turned to my wife the first 5 minutes of seeing how intense this defense, who has literally missing their 3 best players, starting safety Tyler Nubin, linebacker Bobby Okereke, Dexter Lawrence, arguably one of the best players in football, all on the IR. They're scrappy. This is better than this defense. Run defense has played almost all year. And I turn to my wife and I'm like, if they win this fucking game, oh my goodness. Look, obviously,
even the run defense, you still ended up hitting on your JT take, right?
I mean, I did hit just Jonathon Taylor over the yards and 2 touchdowns. I was talking about that. I really like that. That came through. Yep. But he did have like 35 fucking attempts. So it was a lot harder and a lot sweatier than I thought it was going to be. These guys were fighting tooth and nail. I've had a lot of time to think about this. Obviously, I came to terms with it, and then we watched Jayden Daniels, which Jayden Daniels, you take the Washington Commanders and you put just about any other quarterback outside of Josh Allen, Lamar, outside of the top elite, that's a 5-win team. That Brash defense was awful. The wide receivers, Terry McLaurin was getting locked up all night. Olamide Zaccheaus had a revenge. Dude, he was putting the team on his back. That made me upset at what a franchise quarterback could do. Then I thought about it. It makes sense from the fan point of view. It makes sense from the front office, the coaching point of view of tanking. But it doesn't make sense to anybody who's played any sport. You realize that you never know when your last snap is going to be, when your last play is going to be. And these are guys who this is their life stream. Maybe they're an undrafted rookie week. We had a shit ton of no-name dudes out there, guys who are just right. They're like fighting for their livelihood. So on that standpoint, it's like, all right, these guys aren't going to tank. You could tell them whatever the fuck you want, but it was on the Colts. I mean, the Colts had the chance to go to the playoffs. They win that game. They win another game. If Denver loses, it's the Colts going. It's not Miami. It's not Cincinnati. Right. They had a great chance to go to the playoffs. And the Colts defense absolutely fucking laid down. I mean, they literally made Drew Lock look competent. That has not happened all season. So, as shitty as it is, as a fan, as someone who's, played football, nothing crazy level, right? But anyone who's been an athlete in their life,
no doubt,
you're not telling a group of grown men who go to war every single Sunday to lay down for what? For the potential of somebody to come save them when they may not even be on the team next year. So it sucks as a fan. I fucking hate it. I wanted Cam Ward. Probably not going to get him. But when you look at it from the athlete perspective, I get it. So that's all I got to say. That's my half-hearted, silver lining, fuck my life, little bit of a rant.
Yeah. So now the Giants are in the 4 hole. If we're looking come April in the NFL draft, which quarterback are we taking?
Nobody.
They're gonna be gone.
Shut the fuck. All right, moving on. Look, folks, before we get to our
the Steelers will probably end up cutting Justin Fields. You can have him.
I'll take Justin Fields. I mean, shit, for as a 1-year bridge quarterback, I love that. Actually, that just made me excited. I would love Justin Fields. Him, Tyrone Tracy, he's just got to throw a couple deep balls to neighbors. We're fine. All right, folks, look, before we move on to the injury rundown here, check out the SGPN app. It's got all of our picks and podcasts in one convenient place for free. Just type SGPN in the app store. All right, let's get on to some of these injuries here. Thankfully, we don't have a ton. Some that we're going to touch on. We'll start with the big ones up top, and then we'll kind of breeze through some of these other ones. First off, Aaron Jones, big one. Big spot at the end of the game there. Vikings need to ice the clock. He's not out there. However, thankfully, it seems precautionary. Called a quad contusion. Are you worried, and do you think he plays next week?
No, I mean, this is a massive game for the Vikings. And if there was anything structurally wrong, this is definitely more of a conversation. But this is a bruise. So Aaron Jones, being that workhorse back that he is, he's going to give it all he can come Sunday.
Yeah. I think, Kevin O'Connell kind of reaffirmed this. It was more precautionary. He should be good to go. So right now I'd call Aaron Jones probable and expect him to get, almost a normal workload. Obviously, let's look at the practice. We'll have an update on Thursday, but that's where we're at right now. Two guys who I'm less optimistic about. James Conner, he tricked everybody, said he was going to play. I mean, for his credit, the guy fucking
give it a shot.
He fought through cancer. Like, this is a tough dude. He aggravated his knee injury. I'd be shocked if he plays next week. He's already clearly hobbled, really nothing to play for. So I would not expect Connor to be out there. Maybe Trey Benson gets some burn. Some of those guys there. Chase Brown is a big one. Big matchup on Saturday. They've got Pittsburgh, and they've got Cincinnati heading up to Pittsburgh there. They're trying to keep their playoff hope alive Saturday night. We all saw him go down. We thought this was going to help cash our Denver plus 3.5. Clearly things did not work out that way. But high ankle sprain. They're calling it a mild injury, but you know how we feel about high ankle sprains around here.
Yes, I do.
So where are we at with Chase Brown? Do we think he plays, guts through it? And if he does, can he be effective?
Yeah, I would not be surprised if he tries to give it the good Patrick Mahomes try, right? Yeah. Patrick Mahomes, we just saw him play on a high ankle sprain the last couple of weeks and looked pretty damn good. There's a huge difference between a running back and a quarterback when it comes to ankle sprains, right? So like with high ankle sprains, yes, we usually see them out for a more extended period of time, usually multiple weeks, whether it's mild or not. That ankle basically just got stretched out. And, from a running back standpoint, anytime you put your foot into the ground to cut, to pivot, to do whatever, that thing's going to be on fire after a couple goes of that. So will he warm up? Probably. Will he go? Maybe. Will he be as elusive as he usually is? Probably not.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think he does give it a go because it's all or nothing. It's the last game of the season. Exactly. If they don't go, I don't think he's going to be able to do much, folks. Derek talked about it. Your mobility is going to be limited. He's going to be an elevated injury risk. We just saw Justin Herbert try to do it. I know Patrick Mahomes did it. He plays an entirely different position. There's different requirements on the body, on the ankle, on the cutting ability of him. And they were riding Chase Brown. Like they really, both through the receiving and the rushing game.
There's a huge difference. Huge difference between Patrick Mahomes taking 3 or 4 carries for, 20 yards versus Chase Brown, who takes, 15 to 20 easy.
Has to move laterally in the hole before he even gets past the line of scrimmage. This is different. It's not a knock on Chase Brown. It's the injury. This is a way more significant injury. So I know they're calling it a mild ankle sprain. I do not believe it.
Didn't finish the game for a reason.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right. The other one, Tua Tagovailoa, it looks like, he's got the hip injury. They said, McDaniel basically said, I don't know what's going to happen. He got hurt against Houston and then he got re-injured against San Francisco. Couldn't go this week. They said because of a safety to his own ability to get out of the pocket. So clearly something's hobbled there. So I don't know. We'll see. I would say he's questionable at this point. Obviously, it's a little bit of coach speak. Where are you at with Tua?
Yeah, I think we still need more information here. We'll check on some practice reports, over the next few days. But evidently, it is the same hip that he had surgery on back in college to fix that hip. It's slightly in a different spot, but still, it's one of those things that if they kept him out last week because they were afraid of his mobility, what's gonna necessarily fix that in a week, right? Like usually if that's gonna be the case, this is a much more major thing than like a bruise or something like that.
Yeah, no, exactly. All right, a couple other ones I just want to bounce around and get to really quick, and then we're going to move on so we can talk about this game tonight. Joey Porter Jr. expected to be back for the Steelers, their best cover corner. That's going to be huge.
Thank you.
Burrow and Higgins and Chase. Jamel Dean got re-injured with his knee. We'll see where he's at there. Obviously, they play the Saints. They don't have much of a quarterback, so it shouldn't be a huge issue. Denzel Ward picked up another injury. Would not expect him to be out there. Amir Abdullah had his career day, the RB1 for the Raiders. I know he cashed a couple bets for me, but he picked up a foot injury, couldn't finish the game. So it's one to watch. Teron Armstead's been in and out of the lineup with that knee injury all season long. So we'll have to see. He had to leave again. Kendre Miller, concussion, questionable for next week. Sauce Gardner re-injured his hamstring. I would imagine he's done for the season. Kenny Pickett played through broken ribs and took a nice shot from Micah Parsons. We'll see where he's at. Obviously, they don't have much to play for, which we're going to talk about in a second. So whether he's out there or not, TBD. Sheldon Rankins, the big defensive tackle for the Bengals, put on IR. And then last update, Isaiah Pacheco will be back for the playoffs. No major concerns there. All right, you got anything before we move on?
Nope, I think that's good.
All right, we're going to move on. But before we do, let me tell you about our friends over at Underdog Fantasy. That's right, Underdog. They've got everything you could possibly want. They've got college football, NFL, basketball, MMA, NBA, NASCAR, fantasy projections, also playoff best ball. If you're a best ball and you just look, best ball ends this week, last game for tonight for the season long, good luck to anybody sweating down any cashes there. But playoff best ball is very, very fun. Obviously, it's with the playoff teams. You're trying to pick who's going to be in the who's going to be in the Super Bowl, right? Because it gives you the best chance having the most players. Got a roster 5 there. So sign up with promo code SGPN Doc to claim your special pick and first time deposit offer up to $1,000. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code SGPN Doc. All right, really quick, let's talk this Warriors and Wussies. Do you want to be the good guy or the bad guy?
I'll be the good guy. Jaden Daniels is a stud. He's my rookie of the year. He's your rookie of the year. I can't remember exactly what I gave his rookie of the year future out of, or as.
I think it was 6-1 minimum.
6-1 or 8-1, something like that.
Yeah.
But I think it's basically locked in at this point. But Jaden Daniels having a heck of a day on Sunday Night Football, 227 yards through the air and 3 tuds, and then 16 carries, 127 yards on the ground, putting the team on his back. This guy did everything.
Yeah, no, I mean, hey, he cashed both of our locks there for the Commanders. This was such a huge game. Derek alluded to it. We're actually next Monday. There's going to be no Monday night game, but we're going to have an episode. It's going to be a little bit of a season review. We gave out a bunch of futures. We gave out futures for every single division, every team, at least one for every team this in the preseason. We're going to look at how we did, and then we're going to look at kind of playoffs, do a nice little preview of that. So stay tuned for that. The wussy of the week, this motherfucker. CJ Stroud, a guy who had, I thought, a great opportunity. The game script was there. He was down, but they can't even play garbage time right. He doesn't look right, whether it's mental, whether it's his offensive line being Swiss cheese. He's just got happy feet. I understand that Stephon Diggs and Tank Dell aren't there, but they weren't there last season when he was absolutely lighting up defenses. Something is wrong in Houston. We do have a problem. The sophomore slump is real. CJ Stroud, congratulations. You are our wussy of the week. All right, my friend. We are going to let's save this playoff scenario for after we talk about it. I do want to get your opinion on some early line locks, but before we do that, I got to tell the folks about mybookie.ag. We're brought to you by mybookie.ag. Look, folks, you can get a $10 casino chip and 100% deposit match up to $1,000 using promo code SGPN at mybookie.ag. You know what they say, folks. All a DGen needs, $10 and a dream. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Rhythm, the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds. Get predictions for betting on money line spreads, totals, and props. We're going to give out a ton of bets here for Monday Night Football. You can check how those look over on Rhythm and see if this one you want to tail. So claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. All right, folks, we got about 15 minutes to talk Monday Night Football. Before we do that, early line locks, week 18. Tell me what you have already bet on for this week.
Yep. So I do like the Jets against the Miami Dolphins. neither of these teams are really playing for anything at this point. But especially if Tua can't go for the Dolphins, I do actually like the Jets. Surprisingly,
what?
I do like the Jets.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Anyways,
Threw me off. All right.
It's all good. Give me the Jaguars at +5. I think that the Colts have basically given up on their season, and for whatever reason, the Jags just keep playing tough for Coach Peterson down there. And then finally, I just think 17.5 points is way too many points for an AFC North game. I mean, I get it. The Browns suck. The Ravens are pretty damn good, but I just think 17.5 is a shit ton of points for that division. So give me the Browns at 17.5.
Well, have you seen Dorian Thompson-Robinson play football?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Hey, Downs did beat the Ravens earlier in the season. So a little bit of a wrench spot. I do agree it is a shit ton of points, but after having to suffer through Dorian Thompson-Robinson, I don't know about that one. I laugh because I am on Miami -1. I don't give a shit if it's Tua Tagovailoa, Stu Puntley, Skylar Thompson, or fucking, Drew Lock, Danny DeVito. I don't give a shit. This Jets team is broken. They are terrible. They had an opportunity to put up points on a defense that had been giving up points, a shit ton of them, to just about anybody. You know how much the starting offense put up? 0. I know Tyrod came in and looked a little bit nice and did some things, but no. This Jets team is awful. Give me Miami -1. Give me Atlanta -8 against Carolina. We saw what Tampa Bay just did Carolina. I actually, as much as I faded Atlanta last week, that running game is serious. And Bucky Irving just went off against the Carolina Panthers. I don't even think Michael Penix has to throw a pass, and they cover this 8. And then I will go with Seattle -3 versus the Rams there. Rams won the NFC West. Thank you. In the review, I'll be talking about how I cashed that one. But yeah, McVay, the way he approaches preseason, he doesn't play anybody. I'd be shocked if he plays his, old quarterback there in Matthew Stafford. I think there's a really good chance we see Jimmy Garoppolo in this one. And I think that the Seattle Seahawks are going to, they're pissed. They're going to want to play a division rival, and they're going to play everybody. So give me Seattle laying 3 on the road there in LA. All right, my friend.
Let's talk about. I should have done. I do kind of like your Giants as 3-point dogs this week.
Shut up.
Against Tanner McKee? Come on now.
I really have a strong feeling.
Drew Lock or Tanner McKee? Which one are you taking?
They're going to win this game, and it's going to piss me off. I don't know what's worse for me. Saquon breaking the record, Eric Dickerson's single-season rushing record.
I don't think they'll let him. I do think they'll let you guys win outright, though.
That's what I'm saying. I think I'd rather Saquon, give you a final fuck you to the front office. As shitty as that would be to watch, they would probably win then. But if they don't, then because I don't think they play Saquon unprotected. I think they would play some guys with him.
Yes.
So, no but I agree. I do think
Lane Johnson would be out there. Dickerson would be out there. Yeah.
It scares the shit out of me that I think the Giants are going to win again. It's going to piss me off in the moment, but I'll have to figure it out and just I'll have to watch back what I said about these guys playing and stuff like that. But anyway, all right, my friend. We are talking Monday Night Football. The game that kicks off in probably 10, 15 minutes here. They always start those late. So the 13-2 Detroit Lions on the road in the Bay Area, taking on the 6-9 San Francisco 49ers, a rematch of the NFC Championship game where Detroit went out to a lead. Everyone was buying their tickets to the Super Bowl, and holy shit, here come the 49ers, and they came back and won, stunned all of Detroit, left people dejected, and you know what it did? It left Dan Campbell and the boys pissed off. So, do you have the live lines for us right now?
Yeah, depending on what book you're looking at, you're probably looking at either 3.5 or 4 for the spread. I'm looking at DK right now. Detroit is at -112 as 4-point favorites. The Niners at -108. Total sitting right at 50.5. You can get Detroit on the money line at -230. The Niners at +190.
There you go. All right, I'm going to give you guys a quick injury rundown, and then Derek's going to tell us, break this game down, give us his best bets, and I will round us out there. So let's go ahead and start with the Detroit Lions. Man, obviously, look, they've got a bunch of people out. They've got some out tonight, and they've got a bunch on IR. So really quickly, ratting them off. No Khalif Raymond, no David Montgomery, no Broderick Martin. Those are the new ones. The old ones, as a reminder, no Liam McNeil, defensive tackle, defensive end Aiden Hutchinson, linebacker Alex Anzalone, linebacker Malcolm Rodriguez, cornerback Carlton Davis. All stud guys, all premier players on the defense, all out. They do get linebacker Jalen Reeves-Maben off the IR back. So a little bit of help for that linebacker room. Over on the San Francisco side, the home team, the surprise one, Charvarius Ward, out for personal reasons. Their best cover corner is going to be out this game. Also, defensive tackle Khalil Davis, linebacker Dre Greenlaw, who we saw come back and have an amazing game in his first game back, and then he tweaked his calf, and he's out for a little bit, probably the rest of the season. And then you've got offensive guard, left guard Aaron Banks, left tackle Trent Williams, replacement left tackle Spencer Burford, all out for that offensive line for the 49ers. So, my friend, what do you got?
Yeah, so you mentioned it. Both of these teams are really beat up, but it's funny that the Lions definitely have their biggest game of the season next week. This one really doesn't matter at all. We're a 49er standpoint, like, do you just start sitting guys because your team's been beat up all season and you're out of the playoff race and you don't have anything to play for this week or next week? But
I hope not.
Dan Campbell came out and said, "Hey, I don't care. We are winning this game. We're playing our dudes." So because of that, I am on the Lions at -3.5, -4, wherever or whatever you get it at. I would go ahead and take that. I don't know as far as run of the Lions. Will they get the run all game? Right. So whether the Lions get out to an early lead and then they start sitting guys, or maybe, maybe the Niners get out to an early lead. So the Lions start sitting guys. I could see it going either way. I expect the Lions to jump off to an early lead if either way, but I would not be surprised if later in the game we start seeing some of those guys that we don't see all that often. So, like I said, I am on the Lions at -3.5. Give me Tim Patrick to have a little bit of a day. So I took his over 2.5 receptions and his anytime touchdown at 4-1. Jared Goff, I did take his under 33.5 pass attempts. This is kind of one of those things where does Jared Goff end up playing the entire game? Maybe, maybe not. Either way, I don't think the Lions will get away from their balanced offense. And a lot of times he doesn't get over this number anyways. I did take Jared Goff under a half interception at -120. From a Niners standpoint, give me Brock Purdy's over 250.5 passing yards. I just think that Lions secondary is still where you can pick them apart a little bit. And I think Brock Purdy's just going to need to throw the ball. From an Isaac Guerendo standpoint, I went under 65.5 for the exact same reason, basically. I think the Niners will end up throwing the ball tonight, and Guerendo just won't get a lot of traction.
Yeah. So. Yeah. No, I like a lot of what you said. Hold on. Let me pull out my John Hancock and put it on that. Yep. Look.
There.
Yeah, whipping it out, man. Look, you're right. It doesn't make logical sense for the Lions to play, everybody. It doesn't make logical sense for them to risk it. I don't care. If you want to talk about someone who is the farthest thing from an analytical nerd, it is Dan motherfucking Campbell. This is a hatred game. This is a pure hatred. These two franchises do not like each other. That NFC championship left a bad taste in their mouth. Dan Campbell already said it. He does not give a shit about the analytics, the clinching scenario, whatever. I think he plays his guys. And I think, honestly, I'm looking at it as like the Lions versus the 49ers. I mean, I'm looking at this game like I'm not thinking about the playoff situation at all. Give me Detroit -4. I think they get out to a lead, and I think they keep the pressure on the metal, man. This is what they've been doing. The foot on the metal, excuse me. The biggest thing, 49ers, 3 offensive linemen out. three starting offensive linemen out. I mean, I think that neutralizes all those guys out on the Detroit defensive line. I think they're able to get a little bit of pressure there. I also think there's going to be points galore in this one. We saw something similar to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers Panthers game where there was just a shit ton of points. I think it's a little bit more evenly matched than that. I don't think it's a complete blowout, but I do think both these teams, I think the Detroit gets in the 40s and then, San Francisco gets in the 20s there. So I think I'm taking the over 50.5. That's actually probably my favorite play of tonight, the over 50.5 there. I just think that, whoever's going to be in, I think that there's going to be opportunities for both offenses.
The only reason that I didn't go the 50 was because of the last two primetime games, like the Thursday and the Monday night game. Holy smokes, were those stinkers. There were no points.
It's a beautiful day in San Francisco. You've got two really good offensive minds, and you've got two defenses that just have a bunch of injuries or not that good. So I agree. The primetime thing, I've really not played a lot of overs this year on primetime for that reason, but I think this game really just sparks right from the jump. So thinking of that, obviously I've got a decent amount of props. Brock Purdy, I really like his passing and his rushing. I think he has an opportunity. Look, this defense gave up 300 plus yards to Caleb Williams. Brock Purdy threw for 300 yards last week. I mean, he's had to put a lot on his shoulders, so I like his over 256.5, and I like his ladder 275 plus 145, 300 plus 240, 250. It can go up from there. I played it all the way up for his till 350. Also his rushing. He led the team in rushing last week with 26. Give me his 25 plus yards at plus 1.15. Also 40 yards, sprinkle on that, plus 310 because of the offensive lineman I just talked about. I think the Lions, they've struggled to get pressure without those guys in there, but they're going to get up against three backup offensive linemen. I think they're able to, whether it's through blitzing, simulated pressure, or whatever, I think is going to have some trouble with that offensive line up there for San Francisco. A couple of the guys I like to ladder here. Ricky Pearsall starting at 26.5. I like him as some sprinkles, 50 plus 330, 80 plus 12-1. Former Gator guy. Look, the slot position has been a position of vulnerability for the Detroit Lions, so I like Pearsall to take advantage. I also like on the other side of the slot wide receiver, Jameson Williams. I start his ladder at 50 and then go all the way up. Those two guys, I'm playing their original overs, but I'm kind of taking their boom potentials. So I'm not taking the ladder all the way. It's really, I'm like, all right, 90 plus 4-1, 120 plus 11-1. That's kind of how I'm playing it for Pearsall and JMO there. I think that they're boom or bust potential. So, the one guy I really am doing a true ladder, George Kittle. You talked about him last week. 70 plus 100 all the way up to 100 plus at 3-1 there, a little over 3-1. He's been their guy. He's had to be the guy for them. And I think he continues that against this defense. Of course, I got to talk defense. So I'm going to talk about Talanoa Hufanga. Over 2.5 assists. He's hit this in every game that he's finished this year. So he's 4 for 4 for this number. Over 2.5 at plus 140 we're getting. I also like his over 6.5 total tackles. And then Detroit sacks. I talked about it, man. This offensive line may look really bad. So I pretty much took everybody who was available for Detroit except for Zadarius Smith because I'm not laying minus 130 for a guy who has 3 sacks this season. So whether it's Josh Pascal, Muhammad, who had a sack last year at plus 250, Zach Campbell at 4-1, Levi Onwenzere plus 240. I'm telling you, sprinkle on Detroit sacks. It's going to be a sack party. And then my anytime touchdowns, Tim Patrick, like you mentioned, Brock Wright, 9-1, backup tight end there, and Kyle Juszczyk, plus 750. Whether there's starters in the game, not in the game, I think these guys are going to play no matter what. So I like it in a game where there's going to be a lot of points. Give me Patrick, Wright, and Juszczyk. And if you want to really believe in me, 400-1 if the parlay all those together. Just throwing that out there because I know I've got a little coin on it. So that is it. That takes you up almost all the way to kickoff. Really quickly before we get out of here, just want to circle back to some of these playoff scenarios, just in case you were not aware here. I'll quickly explain it, and then I want your take, Derek, before we get out of here. Look, 1 and 2 seeds, and 1, 2, and 4 seeds for the AFC locked in. KC 1, Buffalo 2, Houston 4. They have nothing to play for. Baltimore needs a win against Cleveland to secure the number 3 seed. If they lose and Pittsburgh wins the AFC North. If Baltimore wins, they win the AFC North. The 5, 6, and 7 seed is where it gets interesting. If Pittsburgh beats the Bengals, they are the 5 seed, and the Bengals are knocked out of the playoffs. If they lose and the Chargers win, Chargers are the 5th seed. That's the only situation unless they go ahead and jump to the 3 seed with a Baltimore loss. But assuming Baltimore wins, it's either going to be the Chargers or the Steelers in the 5 and 6, depending on who wins and who loses. For the 7 seed, it's pretty simple. Denver wins, they're in. If not, it defaults to Miami. If Miami wins, they're in. If not, then Cincinnati. If Cincinnati wins, they're in. So Cincinnati is still the long shot here. I know the narrative is like acting like these guys are locking the playoff. But if Denver takes care of business against Kansas City's backups with nothing to play for, it's over. They get it. If not, it defaults to Miami. And then
I think Denver's what, 9-10 point favorites right now. We don't expect Patrick Mahomes. We don't expect Pacheco. We don't expect Chris Jones.
Definitely not Chris Jones, Travis Kelce, Xavier. I mean, they might. I don't blame them if they said everybody. I mean, the only argument is they've already got the bye. So that whole rust over rest thing, but definitely no Mahomes, definitely the big guys. And if they do get some run, as far as guys like Chris Jones and some of these other guys, Nick Bolton, some of those, I don't expect it to be long. So I think Denver obviously has a clear path there. Any other takeaways from that in the AFC?
No, I think the AFC is basically pretty straightforward. The interesting thing will be if Pittsburgh ends up losing to the Bengals, and then everybody's eyes are on that Denver game, and we'll figure that out Saturday. All of those AFC things will be figured out Saturday. So
we'll know if Baltimore has won the AFC North Saturday. We'll also know if Pittsburgh has locked up the 5 seed and eliminated the Bengals, or they're giving the Bengals hope and they are potentially getting knocked down to the 6 seed, which is a big deal. It's a lot easier to travel on the road to Houston and get a win than to Baltimore. I know they play the Ravens well, but I think you got to believe this Pittsburgh team would want to face Houston as opposed to Baltimore. All right, going over the NFC really quickly. I know this graphic looks like shit, but it's what we got. So pretty simple. This game tonight does not really matter for seeding for the Detroit Lions. As long as they win next week against Minnesota, they are the number 1 seed. If they don't, Minnesota is the number 1 seed. So Lions or Vikings are either the 1 or the 5. It's a do or die game for that number 1 seed and a bye. So that is next week, Sunday Night Football. That game's going to be so fucking awesome. Playoffs are definitely going to be starting early. Philadelphia locked up the 2 seed. No matter what happens, they're in the 2 spot. The 3 spot is either going to be Tampa Bay or the Rams. Rams definitely, if they win, they get it. And if not, they would have to lose and Tampa would have to win there, or Atlanta. Whoever, it's basically NFC South and NFC West, whoever's wins the South.
Yeah, so if Atlanta wins and Tampa Bay loses, even if the Rams lose, they still get get the 3 seed.
Yeah, because you're right. Falcons are only 8-8, so they'd only have 9 wins. The Rams already have 10 wins. So basically, either the Rams, Tampa wins and the Rams lose is the only way that they don't get the 3 seed, which would be interesting because I don't think McVay is going to play everybody because to him, I don't know how much of a difference it makes 3 or 4. So we'll see there. Obviously if Tampa Bay loses, then it's pretty easy. You don't have to play at all. So I'm pretty sure though. Let me check really quick what game is first. Do you know off the top of your head in week 18 who plays first? I would imagine, Tampa Bay plays first. And the Rams play in the afternoon. So if Tampa Bay wins as expected against the Saints, the Rams really have nothing to play. They would have something to play for.
Yeah, and Tampa and Atlanta play at the same time, so that one they won't have a clue either way.
Exactly. So, Tampa Bay and Atlanta have to win. That's for them. That's it. They got to win.
Right.
Yeah. So, but the Rams would know. Say Tampa wins, then they have something to play for. If Tampa loses, they have nothing to play for. So that's a little bit interesting there. And then, Washington, if they win, they're the 6th seed and Green Bay's the 7th seed. If they lose and Green Bay wins against the Bears, they flip-flop. So NFC is a little bit interesting, but really at this point, it's really just the NFC South and the NFC North as far as who's going to be the division winner there. So those are your big ones. I just wanted to go over that in case you were looking to get in on some of these week 18 bets, making sure you understood, what clinching scenarios, who's really got something to play for and who probably doesn't. So, all right, folks, look, this game is kicked off, so it's time for us to get out of here. Before we do that, my friend, do you have anything for the good people.
Yeah, I mean, tomorrow night, yes, we have some college football, but it is also New Year's Eve. Put the pedal to the metal, unlike whatever the fuck you were trying to say 5 or 10 minutes ago. Heading into this 2025 year, with all your hopes and dreams, and make sure you follow us, because we will help you succeed in all of those hopes and dreams on X, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. Give us the follow, like, share, all of the things. We greatly appreciate it.
I thought we were going to get a nice life coach, a nice little bit of a monologue about you can do it. But yeah, man, look, hope everyone has a wonderful, happy new year. I'm not going to make the lame ass joke of, we'll see you in the new year on Thursday, but we do have a show on Thursday. It's going to be the week 18, obviously, best bets. We're going to be talking injury update. We're going to be talking our injury targets and things like that. So you're definitely not going to want to miss 7:15 Eastern time. I live on X and YouTube Thursday night as we get into week 18 and wrap up the regular season. The finale is actually here. Like Derek said, look, first year doing the show. Appreciate any feedback, like, comment, subscribe, download, rate, all those things where you think like, I'm not going to like this video. I'm not going to subscribe to this video. Does it really matter? Yes, it really matters because it's our first season. We're trying to get an idea what people like, what people don't like. And plus, our bosses wouldn't hate it if we bumped up the subscribers, the downloads, all those good things.
That's right.
So look, folks, you know what they say. A lock a day keeps the bookie away. And here at the Degen Docs, we've got your prescription. We hope you have a safe, happy, and awesome new year, enjoying some college football. And don't forget, folks, to
let it ride.
What's up, Degen's Doc here. As a proud member of the U.S. Army and a lover of football, sometimes those two things cross over on here. But as you probably already know, as a lowly captain, these are just my opinions. These are not opinions that are representative of the entire DoD or the U.S. Army. The same thing goes for any references to any commercial products or hyperlinks. Again, that does not constitute an endorsement from the DoD or the Army. I hope you enjoyed the show, and as always,